Welcome to the X Corner. I'm here to add a little mutation to the Superhero Crew again. I'll be covering the X comics for the week of February 13th, 2019. This week we have 4 comics. Age of X-Men Next Gen number 1, Dead Man Logan number 4, Mr. and Mrs X number 8, and Shatterstar number 5. Spoilers. Yeah, of course. We'll start with Age of X-Man Next Gen number 1, written by Ed Brisson, art by Marcus Toe. This miniseries follows the young X-Men as they go to the fascist Summers Academy. Rockslide is in the history department and has a lesson by Madison Jeffries, shout out to my buddy Jack for that one, and Noel is in medical, Glob and Sharkle are in agricultural, and Pixie and Armor in the civil department. The civil department is the militant wing, where you might end up as an X-Man in the Fast Response Team, or Department X, which seems to be in charge of moral cleanliness. Glob has written some fan fiction of the X-Men. When he describes it, it sounds a lot like the old universe. And Noel and Bling seem to have something going on also. When the kids are going to study at a library, they see a fire and go to investigate. Pixie and Armor, being the civil track, are there semi-officially to help, and the rest just want to see what's going on. Pixie and Armor find Blob arresting Bling for something, and she calls him a fascist before he threatens to mind wipe her. Blob tells the girls to go back and make sure the crowds stay away. As they're leaving, Armor sees Noel run out of the building. He pleads with her not to tell on him, and to listen to what Bling is saying. Later, Armor goes to confide in Glob, which she saw. She didn't turn Noel in. Glob, meanwhile, is lighting his hand on fire. He says no more lies, and says that Armor needs to see, as he jumps at her with his hand aflame. Why this issue worked in last week's didn't was that there was an underlying menace and interesting character work here. Marvelous X-Men had neither. All the students get a little bit of backstory, and even if you weren't familiar with them, you get who they are. The background is also subtly laid, as we see hints of the fascist regime in the way the students are taught, and the fear they show when someone calls them out for not conforming. The conspiracy that includes Bling, now presumably mind-wiped, and Noel and Glob seems to be expanding to Armor to fight this world, which Glob seems to know is wrong. Ed Brisson shows he can construct a good tale without the need for random action scenes also. The series is subtler than I expected for this miniseries, but I think it's going to be a good one. 8 out of 10. Then there's Dead Man Logan number 4, written by Ed Brisson again, and art by Mike Henderson. Logan is all Luke Skywalker up in a backed tank, but when he gets out, Celia tells him that every time he uses his Regenics, he halves his life expectancy. He says he has one last job to do before he dies to make sure his future never happens. Meanwhile, Hawkeye was talking to his dog when Mysterio comes in through the window. He needs Hawkeye's help since he found out the bad guys are going to use him and then kill him. They go to the X-Mansion, and Mysterio disguises himself as Jubilee, hoping Logan won't kill him the moment he sees him. Logan immediately sees through the disguise, and Hawkeye has to explain that Mysterio is here to stop all this. Jubilee, Hawkeye, Logan, Mysterio, Forge, and Glob then go off on a mission to destroy Neo-Hydra for everyone's sake. This was a fun issue, even with all the death-predicting and brainwashing guilt. Hawkeye has become a comedic character now, and I understand for those who like the character, this is annoying. But for me, I find him hilarious, in his mannerisms and quips. When Mysterio is trying to decide who to disguise himself as, and each X-Man is dead, or has been dead recently, it was pretty funny. Also, Glob's face, in every panel he's in, is eye-popping, slack-jawed shock, as he's having things happen in front of him. It was a subtle running joke, but every time I laughed. It's good to have these comedic touch in a story that could be, and I've described it in the past as, a death march of depression. Logan's eventual death, and maybe Mysterio's redemption, is a deep story, so the little jokes lighten the mood. Unlike the story where Maestro just tortured a town for 3 issues in Old Man Logan. 7 out of 10. Then we get Mr. and Mrs X number 8, written by Kelly Thompson, art by Oscar Bazaldois. Rogue and Gambit are stuck in Mojo's TV shows. This time a fairy tale with Rogue and Longshot. Gambit shows up and steals Rogue after defeating Longshot, and they have the classic captured girl falls in love with a bad guy story that ends with Rogue's powers going haywire and she disintegrates Gambit again. Mojo is none too impressed, so he tries more genres with the same result. Western, fantasy, and even Star Wars. And I do mean literally Star Wars. Eventually Spiral convinces Mojo she might be able to see what's going wrong if she goes into the shows. Mojo lands on documentary on his wheel of genres as Spiral teleports in. Gambit and Rogue are in some sort of confessional, and Gambit goes off to a bar. There he gets propositioned by a lady who turns out to be Spiral. She hides them from Mojo as she tells him what's going on. She makes him a deal that if he steals something for her, she'll get Rogue and him out of there. Gambit agrees eventually. She then goes to Rogue's mind to tell her what's going on and to try to help Rogue learn to control her powers. Gambit has gone to the real Mojoverse, and it seems his heist didn't go well, as he's chased off a ledge by a mob. At first this issue seemed like the last, which was fun going through the genres, but it was wearing a little thin as a gimmick. But then Spyro revealed the story, and it picked up. Basil Doa's art was wonderful as always, and I do hope we get a resolution next issue, but it was all still very good. 7 out of 10. Lastly, we have Shatterstar number 5 of 5, written by Tim Seeley, art by Geraldo Sandoval and Carlos Vila. Grandmaster undisintegrated Shatterstar, luckily, but he then monologues forever about how he wants Shatterstar to be his new star. Halfway through, Shatterstar even slices his head off, but that doesn't stop him from going on and on. He pits Shatterstar against other versions of himself as he rambles on. The tenants, meanwhile, do the classic pretend to fight to lure the guard in and break out. They show up to stop Grandmaster, who disintegrates them immediately. Shatterstar gives up in exchange for freeing his tenants and sending them back to Earth. Grandmaster agrees and starts to plan for Season 2 of the show when Shatterstar teleports them to Earth. But it isn't any old Earth, it's our Earth, where Grandmaster's powers and immortality don't work. Shatterstar stabs him and kicks off a bridge before falling back through the portal. He is drifting in space when Richter reaches through the fading portal to bring him home. They end with a nice denouement up to the fallen tenants and gain new ones, and end with a barbecue where Shatterstar learns a valuable lesson on friendship. Fade to black. This series had its ups and downs, and I still would rather have had the whole series of Shatterstar dealing with his unruly tenants on Earth. But it stuck the landing and finished with a good note. There were moments where I generally had no idea how he'd stop the omnipowerful Grandmaster. All's well that ends well, and I hope Season 2 is 227 with Shatterstar. Comment below if you get that reference. 7 out of 10. So a pretty good week this week, and I'm glad that Ed Brisson can write a good tale in any reality. It doesn't hurt that the young X-Men have always been deep and interesting characters. Next week we have some more miniseries finales, so that'll be fun. See ya there.